From Steven Jackson, who's so rooted in gang culture that he openly supports the practice of checking in.
And one thing about it, if you're a real one, you don't mind checking in. I check in with the real one. That's why I'm in the middle of O-Block.
To Paul Pierce, who was stabbed in a gang-related incident and rumored to have ties to the Bloods. In this video, we're looking at NBA players who were high-ranking members of some of the most dangerous street gangs. Javaris Kittton. Javaris Kittton joined the Mansfield Gangster Crips shortly after signing with the Los Angeles Lakers in 2007. From that point, what started as a promising NBA career quickly descended into a nightmare that would end with murder charges and a destroyed life. Fulton County Assistant District Attorney Gabe Banks explicitly stated that Kittton was involved with the Mansfield Gangster Crips, making this one of the most clear-cut cases of confirmed gang membership among NBA players. Unlike Jackson's cultural affiliation, Kittton was actively participating in gang activities. The turning point came in August 2011. Kittton was implicated in 2 shootings in the Atlanta area, with the second incident resulting in the death of Jolyon Jones, a 22-year-old mother of 4. Authorities alleged that Kittton was targeting Trontavious Stevens, a member of the ROC Crew, a gang affiliated with the Bloods, in retaliation for a suspected robbery. Kitton's 2011 indictment included a 12-count charge with accusations of murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, giving false statements, and participation in criminal street gang activity. These charges painted a picture of someone deeply embedded in gang warfare. What makes Kitton's case particularly tragic is how quickly his life unraveled. He was a first-round draft pick with millions of dollars and a bright future ahead of him. Yet within a few years of joining the Lakers, he was facing life in prison for gang-related murder. ESPN's Outside the Lines explored Kitton's gang ties, noting that his case could offer a revealing look into the connection between professional athletes and gang members. The investigation revealed jailhouse interviews with suspected and admitted gang members that provided new information about Kitton's involvement. The legal proceedings were lengthy and complex. There were questions about the strength of evidence when a key witness, Trontavious Stevens, initially identified Kitton as the shooter, but later recanted, stating he had not seen the shooter and only identified Kitton based on a photo shown by a neighbor. However, Kitton eventually pleaded guilty to manslaughter in 2015, which included acknowledgement of gang-related charges. His sentence was initially 23 years, but was later reduced to 10 years, and he was released on April 21, 2023. Kitton's story serves as the most extreme example of how gang involvement can destroy a promising NBA career and multiple lives in the process. Just like Kitton, this next player shows no interest in hiding his gang ties and openly supports gang-related practices. Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson has openly acknowledged his association with the Blood Street Gang, a connection that began when he was just 9 years old. But here's what makes his story particularly interesting. He's been completely transparent about it. In a 2005 ESPN interview, Jackson explained his relationship with gang culture in his own words. "I was just raised like that. All my friends. I don't trip on nobody with no blue rag, but at the same time, it's what I represent. It's what I've represented since I was 9 years old. All my friends in my neighborhood. It was just inherited. I ain't banging though." What's fascinating about Jackson's case is how he distinguished between cultural affiliation and active participation. He described his involvement as inherited, stemming from his surroundings rather than a formal role within the gang's hierarchy. As a teenager, he admitted to activities associated with gang life, including selling drugs, which he described as a fad and the easy way out. The death of his older half-brother, Donald Buckner, who was beaten to death at age 25 when Jackson was 15, likely reinforced his ties to this lifestyle. Jackson's father was also imprisoned for crimes like robbery and drugs, creating an environment where gang affiliation felt natural. Jackson's connection to the Bloods was symbolized by his habit of wearing a red bandana, a common identifier associated with the gang. However, by 2008, he no longer kept a red bandana in his locker as a shout-out to his blood-haunted hood, suggesting a conscious effort to distance himself from overt gang symbolism. Despite this evolution, Jackson maintained some connection to gang culture. In 2022, his statement about checking in with gangs in every city he visits sparked significant public criticism, reigniting discussions about his current stance on gang culture.
And one thing about it, if you're a real one, you don't mind checking in. I check in with the real one. That's why I'm in the middle of O-Block.
The checking in comment came after the murder of rapper PNB Rock and sparked significant public public criticism. Critics argued that Jackson was glorifying gang culture, while defenders suggested he was simply acknowledging his roots and maintaining respect for his past. The lasting impact of Jackson's openness about his affiliations cannot be overstated. While other players worked to distance themselves from their past, Jackson embraced it. His story raises uncomfortable questions about authenticity versus responsibility and whether maintaining connections to criminal organizations is ever justified, even in the name of staying true to your roots. While Jackson's gang ties are clear due to his direct involvement, things aren't nearly as straightforward with this next player, Zack Randolph. Zack Randolph's primary link to gang-related activities stems from his association with the Hoops family, a group of friends from his hometown who relocated with him to Portland. According to police documents, some members of this group were suspected of ties to the Crips gang. The Hoops family wasn't just a casual friend group. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Office described them as notorious, with members linked to murder, firearms, and narcotics distribution. Key incidents involving the group included a 2011 shooting where one member, identified as a Crips associate, was scheduled for trial for the shooting death of a Portland nightclub bouncer. Even more concerning was a large-scale drug investigation in Indiana, where a police informant implicated Randolph as a major supplier. However, no charges were filed against Randolph in connection with this investigation, leaving questions about the reliability of the allegations. John Canzano, a columnist for The Oregonian, reported that a member of the Portland Police Department's gang enforcement team advised him to watch an MTV Cribs episode featuring Randolph's home, citing disturbing details about the unsavory individuals around him. This comment reflects police suspicion, but lacks specific evidence. The speculation around Randolph intensified due to several incidents during his Portland years. He was cited for drag racing and carrying a firearm in downtown Portland, actions that frustrated law enforcement and added to the narrative of a gangster lifestyle. A 2012 Grantland article described Randolph as enamored with a gangster life, noting that his entourage wore extravagant necklaces, with the acronym HOOP helping others overcome problems. However, this lifestyle adoption doesn't necessarily indicate formal gang membership. Randolph's legal troubles continued beyond Portland. In 2017, he was arrested in Los Angeles for possession of marijuana with intent to sell in the Nickerson Gardens housing project, a known gang-affiliated area. Police invested significant resources in monitoring Randolph and his entourage during his Portland years, indicating their level of concern about his associations. However, the lack of charges or convictions suggests the evidence may have been insufficient to prove active gang involvement. What makes Randolph's case particularly interesting is how it illustrates the gray area between association and membership. Unlike Crittenton's clear involvement or Jackson's admitted cultural ties, Randolph's situation appears to involve proximity to gang activity through his chosen associates rather than personal participation. Because of the company he kept, Crittenton was always near trouble, but that was nothing compared to the danger this next player faced during the 2008-09 playoffs. Tony Allen. Tony Allen is most consistently reported as affiliated with the Gangster Disciples, with his connection tied to his upbringing in Chicago. However, there are conflicting reports about his exact affiliations, with some sources claiming connections to the Black Disciples or Bloods. The most significant incident in Allen's past occurred in 2005. He was indicted for aggravated battery after a fight outside a Chicago restaurant, which led to a shooting. He was found not guilty in 2007, but the incident reportedly involved gang members, suggesting his level of involvement in that world. Allen's gang connections became a professional issue during his NBA career. During the 2008-09 playoffs, Allen received death threats during games in Chicago, requiring extra security. When asked about this by reporters, Allen responded defensively, saying, "Is that what you're going to write about?" Perhaps the most revealing incident occurred when Allen joined the Memphis Grizzlies. General manager Chris Wallace asked Allen if his Gangster Disciples affiliation would cause issues with teammate Zack Randolph, who was from a different set of the same gang. In Allen's own words, Wallace said,
"Is it gonna be a problem to play with Zack Randolph since you guys are two different disciples?" I said, "What?" Mind you, he got a $9.7 million deal on the table. It's honest God truth. Bro, it blew me.
Allen's surprised response suggests he didn't see this as a professional issue, but the fact that management was concerned speaks to the seriousness of these affiliations. Allen reportedly had a run-in with the Gangster Disciples at age 14, indicating early exposure to gang culture. Online discussions suggest that some conflicts arose after he got drafted, with one Reddit user noting, "Yeah, some shit happened after he got drafted. He was beefing with some heavies in the city." While Allen's gang ties were strong enough to impact his career, this next player's alleged affiliations are still debated to this day. James Harden. James Harden's alleged gang connections are centered around a single incident in 2012 that sparked accusations of false claiming from the hip-hop community and ongoing speculation about his true affiliations. The controversy began during the 2012 playoffs. On June 4th, 2012, during a playoff game against the San Antonio Spurs, Harden was observed making hand gestures that some interpreted as Bloods gang signs. The Bloods used specific hand signals, including those associated with the number 5 inches or a 5-pointed star, to signify affiliation. What amplified the controversy was Harden's social media activity. Around the same time, Harden sent a tweet to rapper Lil Wayne, who had expressed frustration over not receiving front row seats at an OKC versus Spurs playoff game. Harden's tweet read, "Come to the next game, we got seats for you 5. The use of the number 5 inches was interpreted by some as a reference to Bloods vernacular. The response from the hip-hop community was swift and harsh. Rappers Slim Thug and Lil Duval accused Harden of false claiming, suggesting he was using gang symbols without being a genuine member. They argued that he was not about that life, and pointed to his reaction to being elbowed by Ron Artest as evidence that he lacked the toughness associated with gang membership. Harden's friendships with rappers known to be affiliated with the Bloods, such as Lil Wayne, have contributed to the rumors. His upbringing in South Central Los Angeles, an area known for gang activity, has also been cited in discussions about his alleged gang ties. The speculation was reignited in 2024 when Harden posted a photo on Instagram featuring individuals associated with the YSL, Young Slime Life gang, which is also a record label linked to rapper Young Thug. However, discussions on platforms like RealGM clarified that Harden's involvement was likely limited to social connections rather than active gang participation. What's notable about Harden's case is the complete absence of his voice in addressing these allegations. Unlike other players who have either confirmed or denied gang connections, Harden has remained silent on the matter, leaving room for continued speculation. Speculation around James Harden's gang ties mostly comes from his own behavior, but this next player is said to be a certified Crip due to his background and family connections. Demar DeRozan. Demar DeRozan's story is fundamentally different from the others on this list. Rather than allegations of membership or active participation, his connection to gang culture is rooted in survival and the traumatic loss of friends and family to Compton's violent gang wars. DeRozan was born and raised in Compton, California, in a neighborhood dominated by the pocket hood Compton Crips. In a 2018 ESPN interview, he described how gang affiliation was a core part of identity in his environment. "It's the first thing you feel accepted by. It's all I knew. I look back on it now and it makes no sense. But growing up, it made perfect sense." The impact of gang violence on DeRozan's life was immediate and devastating. He attended his first funeral at age 5 for his uncle Kevin, a prominent Crip killed by a member of the rival Bloods gang. After that, he went on to see so much more tragedy despite his young age.
Teenage years, I dealt with so much death at an early age. My best friend was killed, December 31st, 2017, when he was supposed to be with me. I had a lot of survivor's remorse with a lot of people I lost before I was even in college.
His mother, Diane, wasn't a stranger to tragedy either. She had lost loved ones to violence as well.
Looking at my mama every single day, and I remember one year my mama went to 10 funerals.
DeRozan's family had direct connections to gang activity. His uncle Kevin was described as one of the biggest Crips in Compton, and another uncle, a member of the Bloods, was also killed in gang-related violence. Additionally, DeRozan has mentioned relatives coming in and out of jail, further illustrating the pervasive influence of gang culture in his family. Despite these environmental factors, there's no solid evidence that DeRozan is an active gang member. In a 2017 interview, DeRozan discussed the challenges of growing up in gang territory. Being around gang territory, you don't think about it as being that bad because you grow up in it. It's kind of all you know. DeRozan credits his parents, particularly his father, for keeping him focused on basketball. His father ensured he was never late to practices, games, or tournaments, steering him away from gangs, drugs, and street violence. Basketball became his escape, allowing him to channel his energy and avoid the pitfalls of his environment. The constant presence of gang violence profoundly shaped DeRozan's mental health, contributing to his struggles with depression. In his memoir, he reflects, "It wasn't easy trying to be a kid in a place where making it through each day alive felt like an accomplishment." Public speculation about DeRozan's gang ties often stems from his Compton background. A 2021 Reddit thread speculated about his gang ties, with one user claiming he was a certified Crip, but this was not supported by evidence and was countered by others who noted that DeRozan never spoke positively about gang life. DeRozan's story represents something different from the others, not someone who chose gang life, but someone who survived it and used basketball as his path to escape the cycle of violence that claimed so many around him. While DeRozan made a clear effort to steer clear of gang ties, the next player was so entangled in it that he ended up with one of the biggest gang-related fines in NBA history. Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce's connection to gang allegations centers around a single incident that created a firestorm of controversy and resulted in one of the NBA's most significant fines for gang-related behavior. The incident occurred on Saturday night during Game 3 of the 2008 NBA playoff series against the Atlanta Hawks. Pierce made a hand gesture toward Hawks player Al Horford in the final minute of the Celtics' 102-93 loss. The gesture involved forming a circle with his thumb and index finger while extending the other three fingers. Expert analysis confirmed this as a gang sign. Joria Leap, a UCLA associate professor and gang expert who advises the Los Angeles County Sheriff and Mayor, confirmed the gesture as the classic Peru Bloods sign after consulting former gang members. The Peru Bloods are a subset of the Bloods gang from Compton, prominent in Inglewood where Pierce grew up. The NBA's response was swift and significant. The league fined Pierce $25,000 for what it termed a menacing gesture. NBA spokesman Tim Franks stated, "It was the totality of everything Pierce did," while Commissioner David Stern noted the gesture's uniqueness and its potential gang-related interpretation. On his part, Pierce issued a statement denying any gang-related intent. "I 100% do not in any way promote gang violence or anything close to it. I am sorry if it was misinterpreted that way at Saturday's game." He did not elaborate further to the media at the time. The Boston Celtics organization defended Pierce through general manager Danny Ainge, who stated that the gesture was a routine pregame ritual symbolizing blood, sweat, and tears. Ainge noted that Pierce performed it before every game and expressed uncertainty about any gang-related implications. Pierce's background in Inglewood, California, added fuel to the speculation. Growing up in Inglewood, a city known for significant gang activity, particularly involving the Bloods and Crips, Pierce faced challenges related to gang culture. However, there's no documented evidence linking Pierce directly to gang membership. Expert Joria Leap criticized the NBA's public fine, arguing that it glamorized the gesture, making it even more exciting and glamorous, and likely to inspire mimicry among young fans. She suggested the league should have ignored the gesture or privately admonished Pierce. Public reaction was divided. Some online commentators speculated about Pierce's ties to Inglewood's gang culture, with one user stating, "I bet he used to be in the Peru Blood gang, and once you're a gang member, you stay one for life." Others defended Pierce, arguing that his success as a millionaire athlete should not be equated with gang involvement. The incident was also connected to a previous event in Pierce's life. In 2000, during his second year in the NBA, Pierce was stabbed at a nightclub in Boston's Theater District.
And so it was a night when I went in Buzz Club, and I caught myself talking to some young ladies. You know, I'm single at the time. Next thing I know, one of the young ladies, I don't know if it's her dude, I don't know what. Next thing I know, a guy approached me like, that's like, you know, you don't talk to her. And I'm like, what? And she like I don't really mess with dude. Like, next thing you know, I'm in a tussle with him. I don't know, it happened so fast, man.
The attack raised questions about whether it was gang-related, given Pierce's Inglewood roots, though his account of the events clearly states that it was nothing like that. While Paul Pierce found himself linked to gang culture after surviving a near-fatal stabbing, this next player has openly admitted to his criminal past and the life he left behind. Caron Butler. Caron Butler's involvement in street life began at age 12 when he started selling narcotics, often from a little red wagon. Growing up in Racine, Wisconsin, he was exposed to significant violence, including drive-by shootings and shootouts, and witnessed friends being gunned down in what he describes as bloody street wars near his home. The extent of Butler's criminal involvement was staggering. He was arrested nearly 15 times before age 15, with charges related to drug possession and firearms. One notable incident involved his arrest during his freshman year of high school by ATF agents, who found a gun in his locker as part of a sting operation. Butler's activities included carrying a .32 revolver, which he purchased for $100, and participating in reckless behaviors such as firing guns into Lake Michigan with friends. In one particularly harrowing incident, he accidentally shot himself at a high school dance, a story he kept from his mother, but included in his autobiography Tough Juice. What makes Butler's story unique is his complete transformation and openness about his past. In his autobiography, he details his journey from delinquency to NBA success, emphasizing the role of basketball, family, and mentors in his transformation. He told Oprah Winfrey, "My role models back then were pimps, drug dealers," highlighting the challenging environment he grew up in. Butler's turning point came in a youth detention center, where he discovered his passion for basketball. This discovery, coupled with the unwavering support of his mother and college coaches, helped him secure a scholarship scholarship to the University of Connecticut. His talent and dedication led to his selection as the 10th overall pick in the 2002 NBA draft by the Miami Heat. Butler's street experience proved valuable in an unexpected way during his NBA career. In 2009, he played a crucial role in de-escalating a locker room gun confrontation between Washington Wizards teammates Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Kittton. Butler's ability to talk Kittton into lowering his gun during this incident reflects the street savvy he developed during his youth. Reflecting on that incident, Butler noted, "It was a huge part of my career, something that altered my career. It was a decision made by two young men that kind of led to how my career was shaped." The impact of Butler's redemption story has garnered praise from prominent figures. Dwyane Wade stated, "Karen is an unbelievable role model, someone who got into trouble when he was young, then turned his life around and set a shining example for others." Mark Wahlberg commented, "This story is as good, as dramatic, and as inspirational as any I've dealt with in my professional career." Karen Butler should be applauded for turning his life around, for morphing into a role model, and for sharing his story so that others might learn from his example. Butler has openly owned his criminal past, but this next player landed on the list of gang-affiliated NBA stars over what he claims was just a bad joke. Derrick Rose. Our final story brings us to Chicago's most beloved basketball son, whose connection to his hometown's gang culture became a source of controversy that he had to address publicly early in his career. In June 2009, a photograph surfaced online showing Derrick Rose, then a 20-year-old rookie with the Chicago Bulls, making a hand gesture at a party in Memphis while he was a student at the University of Memphis. The gesture was identified by media outlets, including the Chicago Tribune, as a sign associated with the Gangster Disciples Nation. Rose's response was immediate and unequivocal. On June 11, 2009, Rose issued a public statement through the Chicago Bulls addressing the controversy. Recently, a photo has been circulating on the internet which appears to depict me flashing a gang sign. This photo of me was taken at a party I attended in Memphis while I was in school there and was meant as a joke. A bad one, I now admit. I want to emphatically state now and forever that Derrick Rose is anti-gang, anti-drug, and anti-violence. I am not, nor have I ever been, affiliated with any gang, and I can't speak loudly enough against gang violence and the things that gangs represent. In posing for this picture, I'm guilty of being young, naive, and of using extremely poor judgment. I sincerely apologize to all my fans for my mistake. Rose's upbringing in Chicago's Englewood neighborhood, known for high levels of gang activity, particularly involving the Gangster Disciples, provided context for why this photo created such controversy. Englewood is one of Chicago's most challenging areas, where gang culture is pervasive and gang affiliation can be a matter of survival. Beyond the 2009 photo, other incidents have fueled speculation about Rose's connections to gang culture. In September 2012, Chicago rapper Lil Jojo, Joseph Coleman, allegedly affiliated with the Gangster Disciples, was killed in a shooting. In a 2017 Vlad TV interview, Swag De Niro, Lil Jojo's brother, confirmed that Derrick Rose paid for the funeral expenses. Rose also offered to pay for the funeral of John Ella Watkins, a 6-month-old killed in a shooting, as reported by NBC Chicago in 2013. The report suggested that Rose's actions reflect his connection to the challenges faced by Chicago's youth, given his own background and recent fatherhood. Some online discussions, particularly a 2020 Reddit post on R Chiricology, interpreted the funeral payment as evidence of gang ties, claiming Rose has connections to the Gangster Disciples in Englewood's Murder Park/Dub Block area. However, these claims are unverified and come from anonymous sources. A 2015 Real GM forum discussion referenced a media takeout article alleging that Rose wore a Gangster Disciples hat during an interview. Forum users dismissed the claim, noting that the hat featured Rose's personal logo, not a gang symbol. The 6-point star on the hat was identified as likely representing the Chicago city flag, not a gang affiliation. Rose's story is complicated by the environment he came from and his efforts to give back to his community. His establishment of the Rose Scholars Program in 2018 to support higher education and his public statements against violence underscore his commitment to positive community impact. The media largely accepted Rose's 2009 explanation, and mainstream outlets have focused on his basketball career and community contributions rather than pursuing gang-related allegations. Rose's mother and family helped him navigate the challenges of growing up in a gang-heavy neighborhood, with his basketball talent and focus on education keeping him away from gang involvement. Unlike some other players we've discussed, Rose has consistently maintained his distance from gang culture, using his platform to advocate against violence and support youth in his hometown. His story represents someone who successfully navigated a dangerous environment and used his success to give back to his community. And with that, we've come to the end of this deep dive. For more juicy content like this, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and check out the card showing on your screen for more videos. Don't forget to comment your thoughts below.